Speaker, Munya. She's a Bardi woman from Dampier Peninsula and works as a barrister here in Melbourne. And so she'd like to address today's issue.
From Miller, Ardolan, Golden in Western Australia. People, I cannot believe that it is 2011 and we are still fighting the same old battles. The quest for land rights, for self-determination, is not a thing of the past. It's just unbelievable that even today, 2011, all of those advances mean very little if you cannot guarantee land tenure for Aboriginal people and the right to self-determine their lives. It seems there is no end to greed. The mining companies have been dangling carrots in front of our people, making us fight among each other. There are those who believe the gas plant should go ahead and those who don't. Those who do want the gas plant to go ahead say that there are many benefits to Aboriginal people in the community. But studies have shown that there are, in fact, very few benefits that are available to Indigenous peoples where mining is concerned. The other thing about the so-called benefits, they promise Aboriginal people jobs, but very often they're menial jobs and not managerial. And then what happens after the gas plant ends? You have the destruction of a community in its aftermath. We have to preserve and conserve the Dampier Peninsula for cultural, spiritual and ecological reasons. There was a recent study done by a paleontologist when he went to that country and discovered that the area is rich with dinosaur prints. He'd counted something like 300 dinosaur prints. And what's particularly special about that finding is that there were species of dinosaurs that were quite unique to Australia that aren't found in other parts of the region. If you've ever been up to the Dampier Peninsula and visited Waterman and other places like that, you will know that it is a pristine area of the country. I brought a friend up there and she couldn't believe the cleanliness of the waters and the pristineness. What's really important to remember, all you good people today, is that the fight for Indigenous rights is a fight for all of our rights. It's not just a fight for Indigenous communities, but for your future. Don't let them polarise this and say it's them and us. It's about all of us fighting together. The truth is that the Commonwealth of Australia is not that common at all. Not for Indigenous peoples, not for the unemployed, not for the working class, not for single mothers, not for the oppressed and the disenfranchised. The Commonwealth of Australia is for the fat cats, the already rich, the multinationals and the mining companies. The Commonwealth isn't very common at all. Years ago, our government policies of assimilation and the stolen generations, people in Australia, like people living in Nazi Germany, said, we didn't know. They could smell the burning corpses, but we didn't know. Don't be like that generation. Refuse to be ignorant. Educate yourselves about the issues at hand. Now, you have an opportunity today to speak with traditional owners, some of the speakers that are here today, people like myself, born and bred in the Kimberley, whose cultural links extend hundreds of thousands of years in that land. Read the pamphlets, sign the petition, there's a petition going around. Let your voices of protest be heard to the higher echelons of society and the powers that be. That the rights of Indigenous peoples in this country will not be tampered with, will not be interfered with, and that the rights of Indigenous peoples of this country will not be railroaded or trampled on, and that the commonwealth of this nation will be shared and evenly distributed among its citizens so that one is not more privileged than the other. And when your sons and daughters and your grandchildren ask, what did you do for the Indigenous peoples of this country? You will look them straight in the eye and boldly proclaim, I stood up for the Indigenous peoples of this land. I stood up when it mattered and I was counted. That will be your legacy, and your sons and daughters and your grandchildren will say, we were there when it mattered and we played a role in preserving Indigenous rights. We played a role in conserving a pristine part of Australia. We played a role in standing up for a small minority, and we now enjoy the fruits of that endeavour. Because the fight for Indigenous rights, for culture, our lifestyle and our spirituality is a fight for yourselves and for your descendants. We need the Dampier Peninsula to remain pristine, for Aboriginal cultures to be maintained, for country to be looked after, for the dreaming stories to continue, and for the cultural transmission of Indigenous heritage and knowledge. What a unique gift that is for Australia. And you, ladies and gentlemen, each and every one of you can play a significant role in that history. Thank you.